Americans face a variety of health problems every day. A healthier way of living is within your reach. Let Step by Step to Health and Wellness be your bridge to living a happier and healthier life. To help you on this journey, we have our host, Cassidy Lindsay, Dr. Hillian Chung, acupuncturist and internal medicine specialist, Maxine Sanchez, author of Do You Know Me? Do You Know the Alzheimer's Disease? Step by Step to Health and Wellness combines the holistic and Western approach to your overall health and well-being for your body, mind, and spirit.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Step by Step Health and Wellness. I am your host, Chastity Lindsay. I am so excited about today's show that I can barely contain myself, because today we have with us, for the first time in the history of me hosting the show, our very own studio audience. Yay! Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I am so excited, as you can tell, about today's show. And our topic for today is probably one of the most controversial topics that we've ever discussed. It's something, on one hand, that has been shown to reverse cancer, cure glaucoma and autism, and potentially save your life. But on the other hand, it's something that can land you 5 to 10 years in jail if you get caught with enough of it. What am I talking about? Cannabis, aka marijuana. Now, this is something that we all need to pay attention to, because there's been a lot of talk on local news lately about how Georgia has just recently appointed a study committee because they're going to study the medicinal properties of marijuana. Now, this is really important because that's how a lot of other important legislation was started. So we really have to pay attention to that. Marijuana has dominated the national news lately as well, with Colorado taking in, get this, $1 million the very first day that cannabis was sold legally in that state on January the 1st, 2014. Now, they were the first state in the nation to open recreational pot stores and the first place in the world where marijuana will be regulated from seed to sale. And they showed some of the marijuana stores on TV, and you could see the lines just totally wrapped around the building. Now, despite the fact that it has a 25% sales tax plus the usual state tax of 2.9%, that's almost an extra 30%. Who pays that kind of money for some weed? That's higher than cigarettes and alcohol and everything combined. And see, my question is, if it just became legal that day, where did they get enough weed from to get all those people in Colorado high? That's just something, maybe it's just me, but that's just something that I thought about when I saw those lines wrapped around the building. And they never talked about the fact that they ran out. So I was just curious about that. Now, marijuana is becoming one of the hottest topics in the United States today. So we've decided to have our very own marijuana discussion. And joining me today is the lovely Dr. Okoba. And I really apologize if I messed up your name, but Dr. Okoba is the founder and CEO of Lithonia Medical Center. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So can you just tell our audience a little bit about you and what it is that you do?
I am a board-certified family physician and licensed to practice in the state of Georgia. I am also the CEO of First Lithonia Medical Center. My primary focus is preventive health. And basically, I also lead the nonprofit organization called Delta Doctors in Diaspora. And what we do is once a year, we travel to third world countries, such as my native country, Nigeria, and offer free preventive health services with free medications. And I am also here precepting Emory medical students and Morehouse medical students with the community medicine, where they come to my office and rotate through my office to help with the fundamentals of medicines.
So did you go to school in Nigeria, or did you come here and then go to school?
My medical school was in Nigeria, actually University of Benin in Delta's Edo State in Nigeria. And then after that, when I graduated, I came to the United States of America. I came to Atlanta and went to Emory University to obtain a master's in public health. And after my master's in public health, which was in 2002, I proceeded to Emory Family Medicine program, residency program, where I did a residency in family and preventive medicine. And I graduated from Emory Family Medicine in 2005. And after that, I started my practice, which is the First Lithonia Medical Center.
So you've been doing this for a while?
Yeah, almost 10 years, almost a decade.
Good. So, doctor, let's talk cannabis. Okay, some people would say that marijuana is a healing herb, when you have other people to say that marijuana is a dangerous drug. Is marijuana a drug or an herb?
From the medical standpoint, I would consider marijuana, because it has its medicinal effects and advantages, I would consider it medicine. And at the same time, the herb marijuana is from the family called Cannabis sativa. And so you can also call it a herb, and at the same time, call it a drug because it has medicinal effects.
Now, and someone asked me the other day, they said, is marijuana and hemp the same thing? Are they the same thing?
Marijuana and hemp. Hemp is actually the stalk of the plant Cannabis sativa, and they're both in that family, Cannabis sativa. And while marijuana is the leafy part. And so the marijuana, it's high in the content of the THC, which is the tetrahydrocannabinol, while the hemp, which is a stalk, is high in CBD, which is the cannabidiol. And a lot of research and studies have shown that the THC, it's the one that's higher, has the higher potency to causing psychoactive effects of the marijuana plant.
So that's what makes you high. So when people smoke the marijuana piece of it, it's the THC that makes you high.
Right. The THC in the marijuana is what causes the high, while the CBD in the whole cannabis family is the one that has more medicinal effect that has been found now in most scientific researches.
And then, but on the other side, you have the hemp, which is more so used for industrial purposes. Can you talk about some of the industrial uses of hemp?
Yeah, hemp can also be used to produce cotton. They have also used hemp to make furniture and wood. And then they have also used hemp to produce oil.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot that they can do with hemp. And so a couple of years ago, I was reading this article online, and it was written by a medical doctor. And this medical doctor, he had been practicing for 28 years, and he talked about how every time a compulsive marijuana smoker had come into his practice, he always found there were two things in common. He said that their adrenal glands were worn out, and the hormone in their brain that helps you to make logical decisions, that hormone was suppressed. So basically, in so many words, he was saying that people who smoke marijuana all the time, that they were stressed out and crazy. So is that something that you would agree with?
No, I think I would disagree with that because there's no scientific study to prove these facts. What I would say is that with marijuana, they can actually have a lot of medicinal effects, and that's why we're advocating for the medical marijuana, because studies have shown that we have receptors in the brain called the cannabinoids receptors, and these receptors actually modulate hunger. They actually modulate the appetite, pain receptors, and also memory. So the reason I would disagree with that is because now we're beginning to have research where cannabis can actually be used for Alzheimer's and also used for patients who have autism. So the only where there will be a side effect relating to cognition will be with teenagers and young kids, because there's some studies that have shown that they might have a slowing in cognition with the young kids, and that's why it should be regulated with use for children as opposed to kids before the age of 21 smoking cannabis.
Now, and you said that they use it for Alzheimer's. Now, and that's kind of interesting, because Alzheimer's is typically a disease where people are, where you're forgetting things, and I've heard that that's one of the side effects of, people who smoke marijuana all the time, that's one of the common side effects. They can't remember things. So how are they in turn using it as a medicinal, as as being one of the medicinal properties of it?
Yeah, you see, that's the scientific research that's still ongoing. There's so much ongoing with the medicinal use of marijuana. Like I said, there are some receptors in the brain called the cannabinoids receptors, and they have these with moods and also with memory receptors. And so that's where the research is ongoing now, to see how we can use that for memory and treat Alzheimer's. And also there's a lot of research going on with a medicinal use of marijuana for treating cancer and even diabetes.
Right, and so, and even though marijuana is considered a drug, there are so many, and there are some associated side effects with it, but like you said, there are so many medicinal properties. Now, I'm just going to run down some of the medicinal benefits that other civilizations have used it for. Egyptians, they used it for glaucoma, inflammation, and enemas. Indian medicine, they used it as an anesthetic and to cure leprosy. The Chinese, they use marijuana for over 100 ailments, including gout, rheumatism, and malaria. And George Washington, our nation's first president, he grew hemp on his plantation for like 30 years. And I found that amazing, because there's so many things that you can do with it. So since there's so many benefits to marijuana, would you say that the benefits outweigh the risks?
Definitely, because the reason I would agree with you that the benefits of marijuana outweighs the risk, because when you look at the studies, marijuana, the risk for marijuana abuse is actually 9%, while the risk of abuse for cocaine, which is considered less dangerous than marijuana, is actually 20%. The risk of abuse for tobacco, which is considered no danger and considered less dangerous to marijuana, is at least 30%, and alcohol. And we have a lot of overdose accidental deaths from cocaine, marijuana, prescription narcotic drugs. Every year, at least 19 people die every day from accidental overdose from these other drugs. But there has never been a reported case of death from overdosing from marijuana. So when you look at the benefits of marijuana, helping cure seizures. I'm sure you have seen a lot of commercials and also talks on TV regarding the Colorado girl, Charlotte Figi, and how she used to have 300 seizures a day from birth. And the minute she got to Colorado and was able to get the medicinal marijuana, she was able, the seizures stopped to like 1 a month.
Wow, that's impressive.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pause right here, and we're going to take some questions from